Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so fun.
They have
pictures.
a dormitory for the boys and a dormitory for the girls.
That's good. That's good.
So I said to Michael, he called me, it was last night or the night before, and I said, well, what do they do all day, Michael? You know, these little kids who don't speak English yet.
Right, right.
And they don't have school to go to.
Right, right.
So what do they do all day? He said, well, it takes 2 hours with each meal. They're, by the time they prepare the food and eat it and clean up.
Right, right.
So that takes 6 hours a day.
Right there. Oh my gosh.
So they have a woman living with them who teaches English as a second
Oh,
language.
good. Oh, good.
And she spends at least an hour a day
Oh, that's
teaching the
nice.
Can you
kids.
look in the other bathroom?
And
And
she
just
has
tell me
2
the number.
adopted children.
Oh, great.
I need to
Great.
call,
So that
write
means
it
there are
down and
12
write it down on this
of them
blackboard.
at
What number?
the table
In his
for every
bathroom,
meal.
it's written. I just realized that he may not see
And
it.
that's kind of
We're
unreal.
Okay.
writing it on our blackboard.
Look at that. At the battery, I think it's fine.
Oh my God, was it?
Oh
Oh,
God, no, don't tell me this. Is there a problem?
no.
I have to go there someday.
Over there?
I have to go in there.
Yeah, very nice. You will enjoy it. The Sunday afternoon concert.
They're always
Something
something.
in the 30s, you know, doing, yeah, it's like you got the social
Are they like from now, from July? From August?
Yes, yes. And,
And your beautiful yeah, because they told me the roads are being acquired.
not me.
No, we like to like ourselves. You know, that's her daughter Jerry. And this is Brian, who came up with my but I'm just saying also until you see me around. Did you know her? Good. Now let's see this big painting I saw there. Oh,
What she used to love to do.
And the one that steamboat.
I was for her all the time.
No, one or the other. You don't
I
like
mean, I would
which would you pick?
try and fill
Well, I mean,
up.
I would pick this one.
Do you want to get that one?
I went in the afternoon. Sitting there, posing, so arduous.
What was the age difference? Were you sort of like 5 years, 10 minutes, 10 minutes?
She was 4.5 when he did that. She was enough older. So, never, You know,
I know, she sits there, she, yeah.
she was enough.
Oh, yeah, that's lovely.
Without a long.
Oh, I have another parasite somewhere.
My mother never hear she say something. Oh, you watch out. When you have money, no, I never hear that. You know, they just take all the colors that they have.
Okay, now let's not take any
Water, that's good water.
This is the waterfall, and the, this is the drawing, or is that only for this one?
Hi, Rose. How about you?
Well, no, I've got mine. I've got wonderful. Now they're going to the church.
We have a new car.
Really?
Very competitive. My mom.
That's exciting.
No, it's not true. Oh, that's
You just started in some way, isn't it?
Well, not really. It started June 21st. So, look around a little bit.
I've been doing better and better, and now I'm really wonderful.
You look terrific. Because you so attractive.
That's just my seltzer. I just want to like you know, Donna? Well, Donna? I think Donna. Of course, I'm Shirley.
Yes, I know Shirley.
You know Ellen. Ellen Braun. Oh,
Yeah, I don't have a single. It's a different. You want to keep it.
Alice that I knew I'd seen her.
You said you have the other one?
wonderful time. Really wonderful. It's very nice. Then when we went to Hotel Studio.
Yes.
I'm very thrilled. Anyway, good. All right. Well,
I'm ready.
I looked at her. I looked at the watch and all the bell bottoms. That's that. Bye, Rose. That's nice to see you. Bye, Dick.
Bye. What?
That's pretty cool. Look at that. Man, it's expensive.
They don't know much Which never occurred to me to ask Julie, nor did it occur to nobody told Julia to tell me.
looks like
The other camera.
This is like the city here. Looks like kind of like a car.
Take care. You look I hopefully will see you on Monday. If I don't get there, I'll get there. You know.
Get some more. Cheese is good for you. Oh, yeah. Cheese clogs you up. That's a very good thing to clog up. You know that. Things you have to drink olive oil, cayenne pepper.
Do you want to drink more?
The main thing is to log yourself with meat, cheese, stuff like that. Good stuff. You don't have to worry about it.
Oh, it is.
And every once in a while, if you go halfway wide,
We're not doing it.
you take the other drug that says,
Well, we're not going to be there.
I'm an airplane. You know, it's whatever it's called. Just carry a couple of pills. Travel all around the world. You can travel all around the world. You can have anti-diarrhea pills. And the opposite. You don't have to worry about
Back at Tom Fletcher's gallery, this is the show of my mom's work, Margaret Longrun, in July 1988. That's 2 Fifth Avenue that she did for the Rudens, and this is another print that she did, I'd say, in the early 50s, or late, early 50s probably, of New York Harbor, obviously. And then on the other walls, we come in, up above, you'll see, zero in on that, Brian, if you would. You'll see a New York Harbor scene that she'd done many years before that I love. And then there's a Rockefeller Center scene next to it. These are that's an etching. The first one was a lithograph. The next scene we have to zero in closely on. I'm not sure if that's an etching. Then there's another, what looks like an etching rather than a lithograph of New York again. Then below that is a New York skyscraper scene. an etching, then a drawing. She seemed to love the harbor. And then there's a much older etching of Washington Square Arch. And then this is as you enter the gallery. It's the bright, many-colored Brooklyn Bridge that she did many copies of. Okay, all right. This is looks like a charcoal drawing that was done, I would think, in the 30s when she was very involved with the whole idea of the Depression in this country. Next is a drawing of which I have prints that I love of the staircase in our house on West 12th Street when I was a very little child. We lived there when I was 5. And I remember the house vividly. And then we come along to a number of drawings that were done by my mother, probably it looks like from the look of the cars, for example, in the late 20s or 30s. And there are 4 of them. They've all been sold, and I'm not sure where drawings were made. But the final one shows a ship again. Then we turn the corner and come to a more modern color, 3-color lithograph that I remember her doing in her studio in Woodstock in 1950 or thereabouts. Then we're going to find a Woodstock portrait that I've never been fond of because I see it sort of whimsical, but it still doesn't seem like my mother to me. And she did that in the 40s in Woodstock. Then she did this oil, that was an oil of her portrait in Woodstock too. It's a scene of clearly of a sawmill. Then there's some etchings over here done in the 30s. One is called Mexican Girl, the other is Flower Scene. The large oil was the DeGraff Barn, and that's really the biggest painting we have now. That's been sold. And then beyond it is another little oil of the snowman. That was me in my green snowsuit, and I had a red hood, I guess. And then behind the desk is a vegetable scene that's going to get reframed. And we have prints of the vegetable bin, which I happen to love, so that's why I don't mind parting with the oil. Then we'll go on the back again in a very large oil portrait in my green snowsuit. I must have been around, I'd say 9 or 10. And that was the Zadenberg's Pond, and there's overlook in the background. Then there's a Paris scene on the left that she must have done in the 20s. And then there's several little etchings, well, 2 specifically, that also were done in the 20s. Then we come across 2 drawings which are somewhat unfamiliar to me. Then we go back again into the dreary times of the Depression when she's doing something of a drawing of a train and looks like a sawmill. And then above it, workers, very fluid movement. Looks like they're shoveling snow. And then down below next is an etching in which she's depicting coal miners walking home from work. Above that is something of a different period, which is an etching. It looks like a fish market. And then one of her most famous etchings is the women in the coal fields in Pennsylvania. And below that is the watercolor that was drawn in preparation for the etching above it. So just show that and that. And then here again, we have the same kind of working men in a watercolor. And over here is the final print, which is of men fishing in the Seine, which must have been done in the 20s.